IVM.
If you're broke, if you need money, if you don't have a wallet, you don't have a financial portfolio, don't bother. There's no hope for you. Or is there? His name is Anupam Gupta. Paisa, Vaisa. But don't ask him for money. I asked. He gave me nothing. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Kripaya dhyan dijiye. The language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Okay, cock and bull, early morning for some of my colleagues on this lovely panel, August panel. But first, a quick message which I'd like to rant about, which is my building, the beautiful, I won't mention the name Skylark, I shouldn't. Anyway, now somebody in the building has decided to get an oxygen cylinder to be placed down to check your oxygen levels. I can't take this anymore. I want to now migrate. Okay, and by migrate, I mean just from the building to some other place where people are a little more easygoing and a little more dynamic and not interested in just sitting there covering with fear and ready to die. Because you can't do this. I can't do this for the rest of my life. Wash my hands, wear the mask, cover my helmet, just head to toe like an astronaut. And then on top of all that, check your oxygen level, blood level, fingernails, toes, hair length, penis. Bas, enough is enough. We've got to draw the line somewhere. I can't take it anymore, and I want to form a group, a political parties of some people in the center who are not going to be completely reckless and not going to be completely paranoid with fear.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.
Amit Doshi, welcome to the show. I'm nominating you as president of my new party, the Central Party of India. CPI, not to be confused with the other CPI.
You won't be so happy because I actually disagree with you. I think that they should
You're
use
sacked.
oximeters.
You're sacked. Neville, welcome. After Neville, comedian extraordinaire, ad whiz. You are now the president of Central Party of India.
That's fine, Cyrus. But I'm still going to insist on penis measurement.
Damn you! I'll have to make you vice president. All right. Okay. So coming back to before we start our formal stories, which we never reach in any case, oxygen cylinder in the building. I don't know about you guys.
You mean the oximeter thing, right? Not the cylinder.
Oxymoron.
Yeah.
Right. So you say you're all for it. You want 2,000 checks in place.
No, I don't. So what
it's
I
like
say
a Labrador
is
in the 5-star hotel who comes and smells your car, then pees on it, then comes and jumps in the back seat and tickles
I want
you
the world to
finds
open
no
up a
bombs.
little bit. I want the world to open up a little bit. I'm sick of sitting at home. I'm sick of not being able to go anywhere.
Yes.
Now, the precondition to opening up in my mind is some sort of process to enter a building.
Right.
Right. And so if that process includes doing an oxy check, which is like a 10-second check, it doesn't take like 10 minutes to do it. It takes 10 seconds to do it. Right. If that includes that along with a temperature check as a way to kind of like, move things along, I can live with it.
Yeah, my worry is...
I have a question about the temperature check. Which is that technically speaking, and I know it's 120 days too late, this question, but I'm just saying if someone's pointing a temperature like a thermometer at you and taking a temperature, don't you only get fever later once the symptoms start to show? So if you are asymptomatic, you still have COVID without the temperature. And you are still being able to... So is temperature the only fail-safe option?
Neville. And you opened up another can of worms here because that alone is not a great way of measuring temperature. You have to put it in the anus. That's the only way to really get bang for your buck, if I may use a phrase. Because I've noticed in CNBC when I enter straight from the AC car, 15 minutes front seat, it's always low. My temperature is like 96.2. It's low because of the AC on my face, which I put it on full. That's another story. So there are many ways to not get the right temperature reading immediately when you step out of a vehicle or something like that, or depending on where you've come from, when you enter this thing. Also, I find it very aggressive, the way they do it. Straight into your face, onto your forehead. I wish it would be more loving. If there's a more loving way to do it, so I feel more comfortable. I'm a very touchy guy. I'm a sensitive guy, Neville. A guy comes in, hey, tuck. I just, whatever. I'm not too happy. I say
no,
anus.
Don't we all go
Anus
like we're
is loving.
taking Mandir ka tika, we go like in front of him and then he sort of does it.
But he has to be senior then. He has to be much older. And he has to bless you. Otherwise it makes no sense. All right. Okay, so jokes apart, all in favor of oxygen. So Amit, what you're saying is have 3-4 things. I am okay with that. But my point is the philosophy is the difference. The philosophy of certain conservatives, they are ultra-conservative, is they don't want to stop. They want to keep finding different things, because they've rattled so much in their mind that fear has taken over. The thinking is a little... Both sides are crazy, You can't be so reckless and you can't be so... there's no end to it. Check your elbow, check your armpit, don't allow one, don't allow that one. There's no end to it.
I also think that they do it fairly... I think day 1, everyone's enthusiastic. Day 2, a little less enthusiastic. By the time it gets to day 15, like if you go now to a couple of these like AC shops which serve food, because I can't mention names. If you look at like any of these AC shops, their enthusiasm is gone, and I don't think anybody follows. So I'm saying with an oximeter, what's going to happen is, I don't think after everybody puts their finger, they're going to sanitize it. I don't think that, they're going to do all of that. So you're in, I sometimes feel that you're in more jeopardy if you end up touching as many things as they make you touch to try and get safer. Simply because we aren't all educated enough.
How stringent will be a watchman, a security guy be over a long period? In terms of his own hygiene and everything like that. Exactly what you mentioned in a sense.
Yeah.
How do you, so I just believe that all these things, there's just too many loopholes.
Well, so there are loopholes, right? And I think that's the reason why you do so many things. Because none of these things is a single silver bullet that's going to solve the issue, whether it is preventing infection or preventing spread or what have you, right? But at the same time, I think that taking lots of small precautions, right? Each precaution having maybe a 25, 30, 35, 40% efficiency rate. If you take 10 of those, then at that point in time, you're a lot more safer than you would be otherwise.
Segue.
Okay.
Unnecessary segue of small mind. But only in Indian English do we use the adjective twice. Small, little, big. This could be like your United Nations address, huh? Welcome.
No, unless and until you're in the 60s in the British film industry, then you do chitty bang.
Well done. Good reference to context, brother. Parsi. Only you know the stupid bloody film from way back when. Now there are hardly any trains left. Sorry, Amit, I interrupted the flow. Because
that's what I was trying to say. Basically, it's a game of margins, right? You try and basically create as many margins as possible to kind of mitigate the possibilities. And then that's the best you can do right now, because disease is not going anywhere. Life needs to go on. How do you do that?
Yes, but if you look at it from a more positive perspective, the fact that it's, it was 68% of cases, Mumbai vis-a-vis whole Maharashtra, down to 34%. The doubling rate has come down. The recovery rate has gone up. The mortality rate has not really been out of control ever. Out of control, you know what I mean, from the beginning. So, having said that, if we look at it that way, I think people will start looking at a more positive spin. But the ultra-conservative, upper middle-class Indian in urban cities is still just looking at self-preservation and in this paranoid thing. And I'm having...
No, it's that WhatsApp syndrome.
Yes. I hate those bastards. Let's use the word bastards. The WhatsApp bastards. Sorry, go on.
So it's that WhatsApp syndrome.
Bastards!
Right? Like where you're getting... it's that WhatsApp
bastards!
Where you end up getting stuff that's not necessarily entirely ratified. And it's bits and pieces of information. So the thing is, it's almost right, so it's not like it's
there's a half truth. It's like Nazi Germany. There's enough half truths to push the propaganda. Totally accepted.
What was Stephen Colbert's formulation? Truthiness.
Truthiness.
Truthiness. It sounds truthful. It sounds truthy.
Yeah.
Little emasculated word, but now how does that matter in the present world?
But it's kind of like that, which makes them seem like they're empowered with every piece of information, and then they're not.
That's a lot like you, me, and Silvery. People who tend to become stand-up comedians, like the sound of their voice, growing up in schools, colleges. 80% of us were the kind of people who want to always, make a point, just speak, even if you don't have a real thought, just want to speak. So I think the WhatsApp reaction is like that. People just want to be heard and validate themselves more than what the topic is ever. And what that fever is never going to go, because that's the way it is.
It's never going to go because it's also been fed by a political machinery, right?
Oh.
So it's being fed by a political machinery.
Apro-Parsi declaring war on center. Yeah, just taking down notes.
No, I'm saying, would they be able to collate those facts and create those ugly color, pieces of content which need to go out.
Oh
No,
man,
there's somebody feeding them, right?
Neville, I don't
that
know.
feeding-
I honestly, that I don't know. I mean,
War.
like the ingenuity
Gujarati
of
Parsi
the.
war. We were brothers once. Amit,
no,
Kapinag se, we'll cut it off. Huh? Watch it. Huh.
Let me tell you about two things, right? Which kind of I think speak against the idea that this is all being kind of centrally pushed out, right?
Controlled.
Have you seen what's going on TikTok? Like, I mean, like not like I mean, like
Yeah.
like go to TikTok unsigned in. Right, if you've started using TikTok a little bit, then I mean, like it'll start reflecting your taste. You'll start seeing more. At least now, I'm starting to see like more Bollywood people. I'm starting to see more like rock and sports and that kind of stuff. But when I first went to TikTok unsigned in, at that point in time, the videos that you can see at that, they're incredibly imaginative. They're like very, very Indian in nature. And the other thing to look at is look at ShareChat. Have you heard of this app called ShareChat?
Yes.
But Amit, I'm not getting the point. What are you saying?
I'm saying that there is a ridiculous amount of content being created by Indians who are not part of our ecosystems.
But somebody needs to feed them the data. So somebody needs to say number of
34%
cases in Bombay,
are
of
Bombay.
Maharashtra, 34%. So instead of that, there has to be somebody who has to say that only X amount is actually the other way. So it's not the making of the content, it's more the feeding of the content, which then lets you get empowered to be able to spew whatever you want to spew.
But that is something that probably comes from mainstream media, doesn't it? I mean, like the where does that information come from? Which has its challenges.
Hey, coming back to TikTok again, segueing a little bit with the whole anti-China thing, including one great politician in Mumbai wanting to shut Chinese restaurants. True story. Don't know if you all picked that up.
But that's actually,
I don't want to get into names.
He's the same guy who did Go Corona Go.
Yes, in that sense he was my hero, but because I like my Chinese food, I took that badly. No, but what happened to the whole anti-TikTok machinery thing that that represents the Chinese, sort of bastion, and that's your way to. I mean, we're going to ban goods and the phones and etc. What happened to that whole? It began with like, let's not be on TikTok, but nobody's come off.
No, there
except
are people.
Milind Soman.
Yeah, and there are like other apps that have come up during this time, which are TikTok related, but of Indian origin, or so they say. And there are like 3 apps right now which have in turn gained popularity just because people want to be off of TikTok in India.
So the TikTok superstars went to this Indian app? I don't think.
No.
I don't think that happened.
Then?
The regular folk.
Superstars won't go.
Yeah. People who are already
It's
making
the
like good
superstars
content.
it doesn't matter about the guy with 7 followers. I mean, you want the big guns to make a statement about what's the point?
Also, what we don't seem to realize is that just 2 days ago, I think I was reading a story that said that apart from all the sports except for cricket in India, every other sporting equipment comes from China. Currently, India doesn't have, like, if you ban imports from China, who's going to play tennis? Who's going to throw javelins? Who's going to do short putts?
I beg to differ. In Kabaddi, the thighs and fingers come from Indians, but there are a couple of Iranians and a couple of African guys as well. But generally,
but if you just extrapolate that, if we stop buying things from China or importing things from China, what the fuck are we going to do?
It's not possible.
We discussed this. Neville, we discussed this, and you're absolutely right. It's ridiculous. In this global world, China's hold on certain manufacturing things and products is just huge. Amit, you were saying 70% of pharma ingredients all come from China APIs. Worldwide, India especially. It's a big deal for us.
The active ingredients, the active pharmaceutical ingredients. Not
literally only Patanjali. And even Patanjali's products, many of them may be coming from there. We have no idea.
No. So, but it's not just that, right? I mean, like
from the Himalayas, but from the Chinese side.
One second. It's always disputed. So it's all made in. You have to fill it. You have to fill it yourself now. Made in.
Did you guys see the other? So I mean, like this is one thing, right? I mean, like the idea that, but then apparently some group of Bajrang Dals or something like that went and tried to shut down the Oppo factory in Delhi.
If you're breaking your television set, and you think that's honestly,
it's just such a dumbassery, right? Because again, you're shutting down an Oppo factory in New Delhi, right? So basically, in New Delhi means all Indian people working there. That factory is shutting down.
So the television set, basically, the money for that television set is distributed more than equally in favor of Indian vendors all the way down the chain till the time you buy it. I mean, it's just stupid, really. But why are we discussing this? This is a country at times which can be really stupid. We've now figured that out.
No, but this thing, just like every day you hear about this stuff, right? I mean, like people saying we should ban this and we should ban that, and you just realize that there isn't any where does this thought come from, also, right? Because I mean, like you give this even 30 seconds of thought, And it's clear.
But it's an emotional knee-jerk reaction. You'll get it in America as well.
Yeah.
Suddenly they attack every turbaned person without realizing who the person is and all. It's just human nature. You get into the jingoistic field and boom, now I got to do something. But that something is never correlated properly to the point you're trying to make.
Yeah,
so it's just stupid.
It's just moronic.
We should run the country. That's why I want to start a party.
It's that mob mentality thing, but fueled by somebody who is almost interested in just creating a row, just rousing.
And also, let's slap the media channels. Also all these apps out there which promote all this, because at the end of the day, you're just giving these people a platform, and then they get more incensed and want to do more of it. Oh, I saw Kapil Bhai. He broke his TV. Oh, luckily, uske ghar mein 2 TV set hai, so he's watching himself.
You think that you think there was a working TV that they threw out? I mean, seriously, you think there was a working TV?
I think all Indian households have 5 TVs, so you can throw one. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty certain that it wasn't. But what my fear is that I think after that incident, I saw a video and it made it all the way to the elite Instagram. And I say this with elite Instagram because it really isn't anymore. But there were 2 girls. I'm going to say definitely less than 17. Like, there's no way that they were older than 17, right?
Can be
and they've
for
taken
that.
These 2, they're taking their own phones and they've taken hammers. And they're like, ये हमारे 2 phone China से हैं, इसीलिए हमने decide किया है, and they take 2 hammers and they fucking break it.
And the hammers are also from China.
Then they
probably,
funnily enough, and then they stand at the edge of the terrace and then go, अब हम इसे यहाँ से फेंक दें, and then they just drop their phones.
But what you don't see is they drop the phones.
Did it fall on the head of a Chinese man?
But I like his rant about the elite Instagrams. I think he and I are sharing the same point of trying to.
No, Cyrus, I'm verified on Instagram. Shut up.
No. What I'm talking about is the class war, the internal class war. Like I want to remove myself from the upper class. I believe they're the scum of India, and I can't stand them. And I just want to be anything but them. I'll be lower class. I'll be super elite, but I don't want to be that upper class. I hate that. I just hate that upper middle class.
We were once there, Cyrus, as just by gene pool, we were considered to be there.
Yeah, well, those days are gone, boss, now. George Floyd and all that. The world is becoming a more beautiful place and harmonious in nature, and we are all one under the sun, etc., etc. Go, Corona, go! Corona, go! Corona, go!
But I'm still not allowed in an Agyari. So.
That will change also. When there are only 11 Parsis left, they'll have to allow all 25%. Rahul Gandhi will be the last Parsi standing. And he's 25% Parsi by blood in that sense. Okay, so let's open the formal topics. Every time we don't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, almost reach half time. Silvery, what the fuck are you doing?
Okay, starting off with the stories. This story is from Hyderabad. Sorry, from Kanpur. It says drunk.
Wow. What kind of anchor are you? Make up your fucking mind.
No,
this is like my wife telling me the guy is from Bihar, but he's actually from UP. They're 2 distinctly different places. Do not say this.
Okay. From Kanpur, it says drunk monkey to spend life behind bars. Okay, it's a very quirky story. I love it. Yeah, it says this monkey named Kalua. He is a native of Mirzapur district. Yeah, he has bitten over 250 people in Mirzapur, one of whom has died. So the local authorities have decided that this monkey is gonna be now behind bars for the rest of his life.
They realize that monkeys can escape.
Yeah.
One sec.
Apparently, the thing is that he was the monkey Kalua was a pet monkey of a local occultist who would regularly give the monkey alcohol. And over a period of time, after the occultist passed away, the monkey was so addicted to alcohol that he got really aggressive without the alcohol. That's why he started biting other people.
Also,
and now he's gonna be behind bars.
Was he drinking Kalua? Was he drinking like the?
That's very that's
during the lockdown when there was no alcohol being served, by the way. So he was an elite. Talk about your Insta elite. He was an Insta elite if ever I saw one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Imagine this monkey at an AA meeting, dude. It'll be hilarious if he's at an AA meeting.
Look, I think this monkey is good enough to be the president of my building society right now. It's good enough as far as I'm concerned. But can I just quickly say that if you want to save him, since I come from a legal background, I have 3 generations of lawyers. Immediately, my astute mind went to the fact that to save him, I have to just prove that he's part of the Veer Sena, that he's a descendant of Hanuman's group, and that, back then UP, no one will argue with me. If I can prove that the monkey is part of our culture and heritage, I think he's safe and let him bite on forever. Should not be stopped.
But that's easy to do considering he is a monkey. You just need to just sort of show an evolutionary scale and put.
And if they disagree with me, who are the real monkeys? That's the question to ask.
Yeah. Also, you're wearing orange. It'll be
I'm wearing orange
to prove it.
And my branding is also ESPN. So it's
there you go.
There you go. Very, very prevalent in Kanpur. Green Park is the name of the cricket stadium, boys, in case you don't know. Very famous in the old days. Where Sunil Gavaskar's wife comes from, Pammi. Anything more you all want to know? Parsi community is also there in Kanpur. They have 2 hotels, but very small, like 20. Probably less than 20 now. I'll have to check. Yeah.
How the fuck do you know this, dude?
Bro, I don't know. I'm kind of guy who has nothing to do all day. I'm a comedian. What do you do? Oh, you have a double job. You do advertising as well. Yeah, so we have lots of time on our hands. Silvery will understand. Silvery, you have useless facts of no consequence to anybody in your mind, right?
Absolutely. I have useless facts, but not stuff like there are 2 small hotels in Kanpur run by Parsis.
Yeah, because there was a small... People don't know, the Parsis did move here and there. And so there's a little... Like if you're in UP, Kanpur is a place to be if you want to find a bride. Your chances of finding the 3 eligible women, Parsi women there, between the ages of 10 and 70, are possible. So you've got to go there. All right, so off we go to our little break and come back to our COVID-19 India still.
I want to thank Intel for supporting our show. We're all loving working from home, but let's be honest, there are complications to this. For example, getting help from IT folks if your PC is down can be a challenge because you can't just walk up to the IT support desk anymore to get your issue sorted out. Well, you'll be happy to hear that I have a solution for all your work from home pains. The Intel vPro platform. The platform comes packed with Intel Active Management technology that lets your IT teams remotely manage your system, fix the problems even when the PCs aren't near them or are unresponsive, especially with the reduced desk site visits. So it means more time getting your work done and less time spent on getting support. What's more, the vPro platform also maximizes all your PC security, stability, and performance needs. Visit intel.in/more with vPro, that's VPRO, to discover how you can do more of what you want and less of what you don't. If you're listening on the IVM Podcast Android app, you will be able to click the link that's visible to you now.
Back here on Cock and Bull, we have Neville Shah, ex-MTV, so we share that. We are both half Parsi, although my half is father's side, so I can go to the Agyari and he can't, talk about prejudices and the crappy world that we live in. And we both have been married once. He escaped. I'm still under the cosh. As you can tell from my pimples, acne, and lack of sex drive. My wife doesn't listen to this, so we are cool. We're good to go. Silvery, how are you doing?
Pretty well.
I still don't understand why you're ashamed of having a relationship with a person, male or female, and that I don't understand that.
Man, I can tell, but my parents have just been so paranoid about this COVID thing. They think I'm out and frolicking about and womanizing, as they say. So I don't want to...
They think there are that many stupid women in India who are dying to meet you.
I was about to go in, I know their parents and so they'll believe anything, but have they...
Yeah, the sun shines out of my son's ass. Come and take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Oof. Okay, I didn't think of it that way. So it's not about being conservative. They're just worried about your health.
Oh. Yeah. They think I'm just not practicing social distancing. I'm going out of the house and staying at someone else's place. All of that.
If you're having relations with somebody, male or female, then there's no question of social distancing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That will happen 10 years into a marriage. Yeah.
Cyrus is such a progressive 2020 uncle because he has used the word relations and then said male or female, giving you the choice.
He's not committing. Neville, he's not committing. I'm very worried. Look, in the present world, I do not want to be a gender biased person. I'm okay with it. It's fine. Under that beard, who knows what makes Silvery tick.
But the point is, you've used the word relations in that sentence before that.
But I watch Silvery's expression. He's not denying a damn thing. He's just smiling like a happy young man. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you only gave him the or option. There could be male and or female.
I think after the monkey story, I don't think so. I think it's just the one gender. All right.
Both genders are not stupid enough. Okay.
We'll find out. We'll reveal all. That'll be the story post-COVID, Silvery, where you reveal everything. Tell us the truth. Because a few people who will actually listen to every podcast will want to know what the hell you're doing.
Fine. Let's keep it at that. After COVID, once you're back in the studio,
you come clean.
We'll reveal. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll reveal
the confidence he has that this will never end.
He gets rid of her or him before that. Yeah. All right, Silvery, take us through the next point.
Okay, this one, seems like it's related to the previous one, the monkey one, but it's not really because it's out of Netherlands. This one is this goes.
Wow.
Dutch drink offenders to get teetotal tags to keep them dry. Yeah, so basically the people who get arrested for alcohol abuse.
Alcohol abuse, basically.
Yeah,
like
alcohol abuse. You have to wear you'll be given a bracelet, an ankle bracelet you can wear, which then measures your alcohol content in your body through the sweat that generates. And
I call this first world problems. Lovely.
Yeah, this is a way for probation officers to keep check on the alcohol content in your body if you're not allowed to drink during that time.
Isn't this
you just put an AC. You just put an AC right next to your ankle, so you never sweat. So the probation officer never gets to know.
But there's an easier, old-fashioned way to figure out who's the idiot in the bar. Just the loudest guy. Just throw him out. There's always one guy who's like just so loud. I mean, I used to be that guy, so I know. Just the proximity is broken by that person. He stands too close to everyone. He's shouting at everyone. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And the guy's like right there. You know, I mean, it's easy in India. So there are lots of us.
I can't imagine a drunk Cyrus, dude. It'll be crazy.
Neville, I'm a little bit hyper, so you can imagine how hyper I get when I'm drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I used to run on the spot because no girl would talk to me. And those days I had testosterone content, so it was all just brimming everywhere. Now those days are long gone. But my progeny, my young puppy, is holding the flag for all of us. Silvery?
Yes.
He's not paying attention.
No, I'm paying attention.
Amit, quick word on the Dutch alcohol review.
I don't know. It seems
pointless.
Well, no, I mean, like it's for people who have had offenses around alcohol. So I guess it's punishment. Whatever.
What is offenses around alcohol? Being a jerk of the party is one thing. Being a molester or a guy picks fights and all that. There's different levels.
No, but if you're a chronic drunk driver, right? Let's say you've been caught for drunk driving twice.
Right.
At that point in time, for then to have some sort of state action to make sure that you, I'm sorry, this is a funny story, and I just can't take it funnily. It just seems like I'm just making it a serious thing, right? Because it is. I'm uncomfortable with it for like other reasons, right? I mean,
you're right. You opened a very interesting point, which is a drunk Uber driver, for example.
Correct. Right.
I mean, if he's operating an Uber.
No, but see, that's the thing, right? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it for the idea of it being used for somebody who's been caught for drunk driving twice, to make sure that they don't. I'm not okay with.
But what does it open up?
Yeah, I'm not okay with Uber using it as a way to say that if you want to drive for us, you need to wear this.
What if you're a Bollywood star and you're caught for drunk driving?
The Bollywood stars don't get caught for drunk driving.
Oh, they don't. That's right. Oh, well done. That's the moment of the day. Well done. Beautifully done.
Thank you.
So you have two moments.
Do you know
back to back? He's got two. Data.
Do you know?
Data is more important than anecdotes. That was his last week's contribution. So now my wife, I've said it to everyone and people are going berserk around me. Will you stop saying that? Sorry, that's your fault. And now this lovely, I would say, the leg glance.
So there's this thing about Netherlands which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
In due course of writing jokes about divorce, I sort of found this out. That in Netherlands, you can apply, if the divorce is mutual and both the parties are agreeing, you can apply for it over email.
Wow.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently what you can, and this is, I mean, I've done some homework on this, so I don't know if this is a WhatsAppable forward, but I'm just saying that the way, so please ratify this before you actually go around tom-tomming this to people. But from what I read is that if both parties are mutually filing for divorce, you can send an email to the courthouse, attaching the partner on the email, and then in a week or so, you get your divorce papers come through.
Question.
How cool.
A question, Neville. Do you attach the relevant sex tape with it, or that you present later?
In that case, it's not going to be mutual, Cyrus.
No, it's all going Dutch. I thought that's what the culture is all about.
No.
You think the rate of divorce went up when this was passed, like this email divorce thing? Because it's just so.
But if it's passed, he's saying ratify it. He's saying ratify it first.
Yes,
you can't remove the female through email. Yeah. That's the slogan that they're going with for now.
Okay.
I think it's a bit. I think you can initiate it. I wonder if you can actually use it as a. I mean, there's got to be a legal process in a Western country. They can't just, it's like too much.
No, but I'm saying the point is that both parties are consenting to it legally, then it's like, why go around the rigmarole? And if the terms are, we don't want anything from each other, we just want the marriage to end, then I think that makes sense.
Well, an email is a binding document if both have signed and accepted on that email.
Exactly. If it's a no fault, right? Nobody is saying there's any fault. There's no payments to be made. There's nothing. It's just we want to dissolve the marriage.
Hey, Amit, why do you? But that doesn't exist, huh? That's all bull. That's just to dissolve it. They say that. Obviously, somebody's pissed off. Bull. Ask the man exactly. Ask the man who's just run through one, and me who's trying to survive one. It's just not possible.
I make no claims as to the possibility.
I wish it was like Nirvana feeling that both parties say, wow, we've had enough together simultaneously, 50-50.
Oh no, I know people who've done that.
But never, they're not telling the truth. Deep down, there's some resentment from one side, which is much more, 100%.
But as long as it's not on legal paperwork, you're fine.
That's because you're mature enough to say, let's move on. Oh, maybe there's no money to be made in the marriage.
I was watching a sitcom just yesterday, new sitcom. Not maybe it's 2 seasons out, but on Netflix, Marlon Wayans has a sitcom. Have you guys heard of that? It's called Marlon. Of course, what else would it be called, right? But it was the kind of point of it, or the central thesis of it was the most incredibly friendly divorce of all times, right? So I mean, like him and his wife are divorced, but they are still like incredibly close friends. They hang out together all the time.
Based on a true story. But
I mean, like it's like a funny kind of little conceit, right? I mean, like in terms of how they're raising the kids and stuff like that. But as the show keeps going, like once you get 5, 6, 7 episodes in, you realize that it's not like that.
So it's not art imitating life. It's just a piece of fiction.
It's a piece of fiction. But since you were talking about this right now, I thought it was interesting in the sense that even in a show like that, right, which has this as a central conceit, they're still kind of like getting to the point where it's not so clean. You can make it sound so clean. Even when you're doing that, it's not so clean.
Digging into the belly of the beast slowly and exposing the truth. Yeah, we've discussed this pre-lockdown so many times. I don't get marriage. Honestly, I think it's stupid, the idea in the 21st century. It's really stupid to put two people together forever. It makes no sense. I mean, honestly, you guys won't understand. Never understand.
You're the only married guy.
I don't even understand.
Don't forget the sexual issue. I'm just talking about the fact of living together. I can't live with another male or anybody in the same room for long. It just won't work. I don't think any of us... Silvery can.
What about your dog, Cyrus?
Yeah, but the beautiful thing about dogs is that we sort of adjust to each other and there doesn't seem to be an issue. But with humans, I've not been able to do that. Also, they don't talk back. They never talk back.
They don't talk to you. Yeah.
They give you feedback, but they don't talk back. So when you say, oh, fuck, what's going on, whatever, there's no like, will you not abuse, tone it down, talk softly, put the AC off. Those commands don't come.
Yeah. And when you're just constantly talking, they don't go back and say, shut the fuck up, Cyrus. They don't do that.
God. The way my wife bitches me out, I mean, I'm bitching her out, but the way she bitches me out, I mean, it's 24 hours. Just complain. It's like a complaint department. That's it. Complain.
Yeah, but you sleep at 8 o'clock. Dude, my mind has been blown that in 2020, there is a guy who eats dinner at 7:30.
7.
Sleeps at 8 p.m.
No, 9.
And
maybe 9 and 10. 9:30.
What a guy, dude. Like, you don't watch anything. You don't, like, nothing.
I watch. I'm Office second round. I'm on season 8 now. I watch. Thanks to lockdown, I have even more time. But night, now we play Monopoly after dinner, 7:30 to about 8:45, 9. Then I have my protein shake. Then I urinate. Then I urinate again because I'm worried I want to urinate once I sleep immediately. Then I go to sleep. Then I actually end up urinating, so I wake up again. It just goes on from there. But it's all.
A guy, dude.
Never, it'll change in 2 days. I'm telling my neighbor to come and work out with me in the morning. He's like, I can't get up. And I said, just 2 days. 2 days, your body clock will change. I had the same problem. MTV days used to wake up at like 9:30, 10 in the morning, sleep at 3, all that. But 2-3 days of dropping the kids to football or whatever, as all that shit happened, forced on you, and your clock changes. Ask Amit, how long does it take for a clock to change if I sent you to America or Germany or whatever?
I thought 21 days.
Not that. 2 days. 3 days
max.
And I mean, like, it depends on how you do it as well, right? I mean, like, I find my worst jet lag comes when I'm coming back to India from like Singapore or something like that. That's the worst jet lag.
More east, further east.
For me, worse.
Yeah.
For me, the jet lag is worse when I'm coming from the US. Then I need like 7-8 days to adjust.
So
it's very.
You have to be careful. What I've found is that when you're coming back from the US, just check what time your flight lands. Don't take a flight that lands at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Take a flight that gets by 11:30, 12.
Yeah, but he flies Air India, so then no one knows what time the flight lands.
Well, that is a whole different sort of problem. But Air India actually is fantastic, right? So the Air India direct flight that comes from New York lands at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It lands at
Also,
4:30 in the afternoon.
Except for once having a cancelled flight from Singapore, which you mentioned, I have only had good experiences with Air India. In fact, once I remember traveling with Kunal, and the lady came and even complained, "You all make so much fun of us on your show and all that." And I felt very uncomfortable and scared for a minute because they're actually really nice. They're the nicest.
They're really nice, except for this one terrible incident. But it technically wasn't. It actually it wasn't Air India's fault. It was just Indians' fault. It wasn't an Air India fault, which is that we had a layover from thing in Frankfurt. Okay, and I've said this story before on another podcast, but there's an escalator that sort of goes down, which is where they've pretty much put two airlines, Aeroflot and Air India. These two people are supposed to go from this like.
And Aeroflot is the Russian Air India. Huh? Let's keep bear that in mind.
So it's like they ghettoize your gates.
Ghettoize your gates.
That's what almost like a caste system. Yeah, sorry.
No, but Heathrow does the same thing, right? Heathrow, basically the India flights that come from British Airways, they're at the ass end of the airport, right? Everything else is really close.
I've not been to the new terminal, but like I'm assuming even in the new terminal it will be right at the end or something like that. It's fine.
I wonder why they did that to us. Anyway, Neville, please, your story.
So the escalator which goes down, there's it's a lobby. Okay, it's with a couple of chairs and all that, like any other airport, except that as soon as you get there, the first thing that hits you is fragrances, right? Just like like it's overpowered the airport ambiance, and it's everything. It's an amalgamation of so many smells. So that's the first thing that wafts into your nasal cavity, and then you stand at the edge of the escalator and you go down and you realize that there's just the slews of Indian people just there sitting on the floor making a noise, etc. And because it's Frankfurt, the escalators are fairly steep and they're long, right? So you don't really have perception of what's at the bottom, except as you get closer, halfway down the escalator, I realized there was a pool of vomit. At the edge at the bottom of the escalator, right where the steps come.
Yuck.
So you are trapped. There is no way that
How do you get out?
Step into that. You have to jump over.
But what if you're old? What if you're not very...
That's where the problem is, because what's happening is, till they came halfway down the escalator, you couldn't see the puke. So now if you're older, you're fucked. And when you're getting off an escalator, as it is they're scared, the puke is slippery. So there's a chance because of momentum they could slip. It's crazy. And it took at least half an hour, 45 minutes in a German airport for it to get cleaned.
So then that's not an Indian problem. That's a German problem.
No, but he's saying Indian passenger.
Who pukes?
Dude, I mean,
Neville is suddenly pointing the finger at the Indian passenger.
It could be anybody.
You puked at the end of an escalator, dude.
It could be anybody. That's not an Indian problem. That's a German problem. The fact that they took 40 minutes to clean it.
I didn't know, but that's because they've ostracized us into one ghettoized terminal.
It still is a German problem.
They expect you to vomit. They kept putting the Russians and the Indians together, expecting a slew of vomit and crap.
Because of the noise and the thing, and also it's because normally the gate movement that sort of happens, the traffic is pretty cool. This was a flight that was delayed by some 7 hours.
Neville. Did you see anyone fall into it? I mean, an older person?
No, Cyrus.
But did you see it?
I did not.
Oh man, I would have waited with the camera just for that. Because sooner or later, a Kunal-like figure who can't jump, he has a hip problem. It's like a bakra. You watch your death. There's no way out. Oh, sorry. But I agree with you. You know, in closed places, bad smells are like the worst thing. You know, if somebody farts in a plane and you're stuck there and it stays for about 5-10 minutes, oh God, early morning flights.
Yeah. Oh. And those early morning, I use a hashtag called Flight of Farts for that.
That is
early morning.
That is what early morning flights are, though. Early morning flights stink, man.
Yeah, but you need one guy. You talk about COVID. You need one guy to have a bad stomach in the morning or whatever, indigestion, and boom.
It's not even a bad stomach. It's a guy whose bowel movements aren't figured out with his first cup of chai.
Yeah,
that's all that.
But to be fair, nobody's prepared except for me to leave the house at 4:30 in the morning, completely fresh. There are lots of people, I can accept that.
If there is a flight, then I'll figure it out. Like, it's that.
So most people just keep themselves light because of the ridiculous situation that they're in. By the way, Silvery is dead. Our fourth person, he's just not there on the panel. He's
Silvery ting, Silvery tong.
I think it's like being an Ornob. It's called being an Ornob because basically the panelist is now redundant. He's just sitting there. So let me accuse you, young man, of too much sex. Too much covert sex. And that's the problem. You have no energy left for this show.
If you're Ornab, he's a doorknob.
He's a bloody doorknob, for sure. He's a knob for sure. I just accused him of that. Yeah.
What do you guys think of Kung Flu? Do you hear about that?
Yeah.
Kung Flu?
Kung Flu virus. They're calling it the Kung Flu virus.
That's what Donald Trump did.
What are they going?
Donald Trump did that at his rally, no?
Huh.
Actually,
he ranted just now.
Actually, forget the Kung Flu thing. Did you hear about like how his rally got over a million people ticket requests and nobody showed up?
What?
Apparently, he got trolled by the K-pop fans and by teenage TikTokers.
Oh,
And so
Hilarious.
they all basically registered saying we're going to go for his rally, and nobody showed up.
oh, that's hilarious.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's nice. Talk about vomit at the bottom of the steps. That's a bit of a bitch as a politician. Because did he tweet about it? Sold out, millions are coming, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So his
wow.
campaign manager did.
Superb,
His campaign manager said that we've had millions of ticket requests.
Yeah.
For the thing, and it finally turned out for like a 18,000 person stadium.
Yeah.
6,000 people showed up. It was full.
Which they must have filled up 6,000 because they realized no one was coming.
And then done crowd multiplication in post and made it seem like it.
Exactly. It was the most amazing kind of like awesome kind of thing that I have seen happen to this guy. Right? It's just like it's such poetic. Because I mean, like, he started his presidency by overstating the number of people who came to his inauguration.
Yeah.
And now he's going to end his presidency by hoping for this and seeing this empty freaking thing. Because it's going to also change all of the nobody. I mean, like how they're going to do rallies and stuff like that. They're not going to try and do more rallies like this if nobody's going to show
God
up.
forbid, Amit, if he has the numbers somehow or the other because of your stupid electoral politics of America, which I cannot understand. If he has that, remember, he'll be like Kim Jong-un and give a flying fuck going forward.
Yeah.
What
So
can
he'll
he
his press
do that
conference
he
with two
hasn't
people.
done already?
That's his style. That's what I'm saying.
He can end tenure. He can end
Two-term,
what's it called?
double-term
Two-term
tenure.
he can.
I think
he can end.
that might be the point at which, like, even Republican.
The die-hard
Congress
right-wing
people-
American will say no.
Yeah, I think that might be the end of
But
that.
he's
Right?
allowing you
Do you
to.
guys think that he makes it again? Do you guys think
I think
that
the
he gets elected
chances.
again?
I think the chances are so low. It's not even funny. I think he knows the chances are
We
But
low.
Amit-
assumed that the last time.
Exactly.
But
That's
this
what.
electoral politics being
different.
what it is, he just has to win a few states, right?
But he's losing badly in those states right now. The states that he needs to win, Michigan, he's losing badly in. Wisconsin, he's losing effectively.
But when you say
quite
badly,
effectively.
what is the poll saying?
He's
Like,
losing by like 8 points, 9 points, something like that in Michigan. Wisconsin also similar.
But if he picks up most of the South and then gets only one
So-
or two, because see the central states he'll get, the South if he picks
he'll
up
get
and then he
most
needs
of-
one swing
He'll
state,
get
right?
most of the South. No, he needed 4 last time. He needed Wisconsin, he needed Michigan, he needed Ohio, and he
But
needed.
again, what Cyrus is saying, right? The electoral ballots, if those come his way, then he's sorted. How does it matter?
This is
We
the
are
electoral.
talking
one
about the
second.
electoral
I'm
college.
talking about the timeliness of modern politics. Even our fellow, what is the name of our prime minister? So even our guys, we had that whole Pulwama, we had that whole, this sort of build-up that happens. I'm saying between September and October, we have to see what the situation in America is. I think that'll be the most important point. Just predicting from now is not
things
enough.
can change.
Yeah.
Things can change. I mean, like, they have a presidential debate, and Joe Biden comes across as like a stuttering, doddering old
May
fool.
I say, now that you bring it up, all those who think Joe Biden he needs more personality. He's like that uncle in your birthday party who doesn't move,
See, the
And
thing
then-
is that Joe Biden is not Trump. That's his only criteria. He's
That's
not
his only criteria.
right.
but-
I mean, like, I'm not a big fan
Do we know
He's
why
dead.
Hillary did not stand?
because she
again
would
this
not
year?
have won either, right? I mean, so she already lost. I mean,
I think Hillary's credibility as a sincere person has been, that's just gone forever.
it's gone exactly.
And
And
so, yeah.
the reason Trump won was because nobody liked Hillary.
She came across as trying too hard,
Oh,
and then all the email crap that went around, and all the money that they used for themselves which they did, the Clinton Foundation and all.
Actually,
there's no doubt
did you guys ever watch the Hillary Clinton's appearance on Howard Stern show?
I think I might have seen a clip, but I don't.
This
think
happened
I
just like 2-3 months back, just
Yeah.
like maybe a couple of months before the lockdown.
But was he
started.
pro her? Was he pro Hillary?
Like he was super pro Hillary. Like he was like,
yeah,
I
that's why
I
she
voted
came
for
on.
you twice.
Yeah,
He voted for her the first time against Obama. Also,
Even when she didn't stand, he voted for her. He was that crazy.
basically, yeah. But the interview actually humanizes her quite a lot because Howard Stern doesn't take it just down the political road, right? He's very smart. He takes it down her personal love story with Bill and how they met and how they all started in college. So that really did humanize her, at least in my eyes. So I would
Also,
recommend
Silvery,
it.
you're talking about her when there's no election for her. When she's got no
That's
dog in
true.
the race.
That is
in a
very
sense.
true.
So there's a different personality comes out. You're a softer person, perhaps. When that aggro political personalities that we saw against Trump, it reminds me just of the Bal Thackeray Foundation in the 60s, which is basically he stood out because he seemed to be calling a spade. And everybody else was like very political and saying all the right things and holding a baby in the photograph. And this guy was able to just go against that. And people were like, wow, breath of fresh air. And now that breath of fresh air is up your ass.
But that's why I think, though, had she done this interview during her campaign, it would have actually helped her quite a lot by humanizing her. Because people just say, she's robotic.
But I also think that
they must have done it. They must have tried all that,
I think the fallacy was that her overreaching because of, like what Cyrus was saying, that she was overreaching in terms of being, and it could have been to compensate for the fact that she is the first female Democratic nominee, or first female nominee.
I think the fundamental problem with Hillary is that she's just unlikable. Like, most people don't really like her. Right. And I think that because I talked to a lot of my cousins and friends and stuff like that, who all basically voted finally for, except for one, they all voted for Hillary. But they held their nose and voted for her. Right, they really did not like it. Trump is the problem. My brother is not a Democrat. My brother has voted for Republicans in every election before Trump.
Non-Trump Republicans.
Yeah.
No, I think mostly as Indians, if you just look at the fiscal policies that we believe
Republicans favored us.
We would mostly be Republicans.
Correct,
in America.
Because they confuse us with Native Americans. So they put out the sops. But but coming back, there's a thing called, quickly, over-prepared. And some politicians in India as well, I won't mention names, are very much where I come from. When you're over-prepared, there's an insincerity to you because it's like the plastic answer. You're over-prepared with everything and you can't let the real person come out. And I think telegenic personalities are ones who, with all their flaws, sort of are seen more. And that's what the voters buying better than the over-prepared, perfectly manicured sort of politician. That's going out of style. That's perhaps an observation off the record which I'd like to make, which I've noticed. And I think Trump really cashed in on that. With his more impulsive style, he just reached out initially. He was doing The Apprentice. He did The Apprentice and won the election. He just did the same thing. He literally was like, you fired, he's an idiot, she's a fool, don't know what you're talking about, get out of my... They couldn't believe their ears. It was like a dream come true. It's so interesting to watch on stage compared to all the perfect answers that were being sprouted by everybody else. Hillary was the epicenter of that.
Yeah.
But now it's done.
No, and I think we'll see some interesting stuff happen here right now in this election, right? I mean, so the interesting thing is not going to be Trump versus Biden, right? Because I think, honestly, this election is going to be fought on vice presidential candidates to a degree. Because nobody has faith that either Trump or Biden is going to survive 4 years, will be able to maintain competence. I mean, they both look like they're going to have a stroke any day.
Are you serious?
Look at both of them. Trump can't pick up a fucking glass of water.
74, huh?
And Biden can barely form a sentence. This is an election, honestly,
so I think the most powerful country in the world became even more powerful.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an election which is going to be Mike Pence versus Kamala Harris.
Oh.
This is the first time in the history of I would say, where the vice presidency is actually going to be just that.
You guys, you black-tongued bastards. Look at the way you're killing them off.
Not killing them off, but I mean, it matters, right? I mean, if you think about...
I can see Neville, if he was a big shot in America, calling up the VP and congratulating him when the president wins the race. And saying, okay, number aayega.
Yeah, but if this happens and the Democrats get it, then Kamala Harris will be the first female president if things go badly for Biden.
First female, first
Indian
female.
name, but ethnicity is African American.
No, so she identifies as African American. Her mother is a South Indian from Chennai.
Okay, so then we have some dog in the race, dog in the fight, whatever it's called.
So her father's is from Jamaica, is a professor at Stanford.
Neville and I will tell you, as long as there's some blood is Parsi, we have a dog in the race. That's it.
Her mom is the daughter of this really, really well-known Indian civil servant who was a guy who had been deputed to Uganda to manage their civil war and stuff like that. Really, really accomplished man.
The times of Idi Amin.
I think it was in the...
No, this would be before.
Maybe it wasn't Uganda. Maybe it wasn't Uganda. It was it was in the 50s.
You can't change countries now.
I'm sorry.
I'm already dreaming of Idi Amin eating her ancestors. Chomp. What the hell?
He was a freedom fighter, and after he was a freedom fighter, he was like general secretary in the cabinet and stuff like that. And then he was deputed via the UN to a country in Africa, which was just coming out of its colonized past.
So we lost Nikki Haley, but we've got Kamala. So in a sense, we've got a presence. I like our presence. That's fabulous.
Oh no, and she's good. I like her. I mean, like, I've seen her on a couple of like interviews and stuff like that, and I think
as you guys mentioned, after Trump and Biden being in coma. I don't know, man. Honestly, I can't believe that America, the most personality-driven country of the world, has this guy against that guy.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money and Intel. We appreciate their support. It's been a fantastic week on the IVM network. I hope that you've been checking stuff out, but some of the highlights that you definitely should check out. Ashish Vidyarthi, host of Begin the Journey, was on Cyrus Says. They had a really fun conversation. I think you'll enjoy that. Uncle Please Sid did an episode around development, which was really, really fun. On Edges and Sledges, we had Adam Holyoke, former England captain. While those guys are killing it, one cricketer after the other. Definitely do check out Advertising is Dead. We talk about esports with some really guys who really know that space. Smile India, absolutely right. These guys are killing it as well. So is Pawan at Pragati. Don't forget The Original Things. Again, one of my favorite shows. You must check that out. It's just been a really fun week, folks. So I hope that you enjoy it. And with that, let's get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored. I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. And Silvery. Welcome, Neville, to the AMAs with question number 1. Thank you.
Yeah. This first one is sent in by Varun Thapar. He says, hey Cyrus, team and guest, huge fan of the show. I've been listening to you on every commute for the last 3 years. That's pretty cool.
He's the comedian, Varun.
Where is he traveling right now?
No, Varun Thapar.
Yeah, but where is he traveling right now? 3 years means he's still traveling.
The promised land, Neville, the promised land. Every country has a promised land.
Also known as Utah.
Yeah. For me, it's Valkeshwar.
So he says, I'm a copywriter, currently working on a TV script on the side as well. But I've really not been feeling like writing nowadays due to the constant state of dread. Have you continued your writing practice during this time? What would you suggest for someone to get back into the writing groove?
I'll answer it, but I think let Neville take this question firstly because he's... well, that's his expertise, I presume. Now, Neville, you're working from home, right?
Yeah, man. I have a call at 10:15, literally.
There you go. No. So, in terms of creative process and all, has anything changed because you have to work at home?
I think the first 2 weeks were just crazy, just in terms of readjustment, because there's several things that go into sort of coming up with ideas, right? Like, you're normally in a room together. Some people are talking to each other. Yeah, I'm extremely active when I'm thinking. Like, I need to walk around when I'm thinking. And then the actual physical process of writing, which is the most like thing in the world, right? Starting on a blank page. So, I mean, the way I sort of came around to it was the first thing I sort of did is I started making lists with like really dumb things on it. So the work is there, but then that starts seeming too overwhelming. So then there'll be like one pay credit card bill, like, pay electricity bill, like wash dishes, just really dumb items on a list, which then seem to like every time you check something off, you just somewhere subconsciously you feel like you have achieved something. So that just sort of like props you up to be able to do what you need to do.
There's a lot of theorizing behind that. The dopamine hits you get from a to-do list, the getting things done by
the
David
accomplishment
Allen.
part of it. The accomplishment part gives you the endorphin release. So they say.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of there's a system called Getting Things Done by a guy named David Allen. Very old system. I mean, like 25 years plus, I think, at this point. But it talks about this kind of, or basically it functions on this kind of stuff, which I find quite useful too.
I personally failed with the list because I only have one thing on it always, shag. And then it doesn't, it's over very quickly. So yeah, so
the repeating item, repeating on a regular basis, but it's not an individualized.
But
there's no customization.
But I'll quickly answer Varun in the sense that for me I think it's just discipline which helps quickly. Discipline in the sense I'm not disciplined really, but just hit the time and I can do that. It's like a Germanic for me. So I say 9 o'clock I have to write.
No, one sec, Cyrus, you are extremely disciplined for a person who has to sleep. In a world today, if you're trying to sleep at 10 p.m. latest, it is unreal.
But Neville, I've gone the other way. Now I can't bear people being late. I just run away. I can't work
being
with other
late
people.
Is something else. I don't think you were ever late, Cyrus.
He has no patience. I have no patience.
Forget. I have patience a little bit at work. Just look at it socially.
That's a Cyrus problem.
Guys, socially, it's much worse than work. Work, you just grin and bear it. Sometimes you have to. But, just imagine you're picking up someone. I've left people. I wait down for 2 minutes. Are you there? I'm coming. I'm putting on my shoes. 5 minutes. How long does it take to put on your fucking shoes? I've left. My good friend Rajiv Khanna didn't speak to me for 6 months. So I just drove off. And when I think about it, it was stupid and churlish of me because nothing changed. We were going to a party, we were going for dinner or whatever, somebody's farewell. And 5 minutes here or there. I mean, in the end, he came by cab in pouring rain. This was about a couple of years ago. I don't even drink anymore. So, I could have easily waited. But yeah, so this shit happens. But yeah, so to ask Varun says he's not feeling like it. I think I don't know about inspiration, but I like to just do it like school. School is classically conditioned in me. 9 o'clock right, 10 o'clock this, 11 o'clock that.
Have you seen the Netflix show Abstract? It's a documentary about creative processes and creative things. Just basically creative people and how they work. And there's a line in that that basically it was said by the main illustrator for the New Yorker, saying that basically amateurs wait for inspiration, professionals go to work. And the point being that if you're a pro at writing or anything
One more great sentence, Amit, for me to you. Bandy about and get my mother to take out a chappal and throw it at me in the end.
No, but the point is that if you're a professional writer, if you're a professional artist, or you're a professional illustrator,
you got deadlines.
Sit your ass down at the same time every day and get to work.
Yeah.
Just do the work.
And even if it's just like nothing, that's just blank, then so be it.
Which is our life.
Discipline of doing it at a certain time. Do it on a regular basis, and that's just you'll make sure that you keep doing.
But the thing about but the thing about being creative, is that you are so insecure with the imposter syndrome that hits you on a regular basis that you have to be cognizant that you have to have faith. I think after you do it, once you do it for a very long time, and I've almost been doing it like almost now 20 years, you will come to a point where you will automatically realize that your brain will do it. Like you just have to have that faith that if there's a 12:30 deadline, by 11:30 you will have something. You just have to have that faith because your brain has been mulling over it for whatever time the brain.
Yeah, but what happens is it becomes difficult to work in partnership. For example, I don't like writing with Kunal because I write fast and I can't go at a slow pace at all, and he's much slower. It doesn't mean he's not a good writer. He writes his own stuff and whatever.
Yeah,
but his
process is different.
Process is totally different. He likes to walk, or take breaks, and I have to do everything in one rush, like I talk. Otherwise, I'm just like a train derailed and I don't know what to do. So
I don't think Cyrus writes anything. I think they're just voice notes.
Yeah,
I don't think Cyrus has ever written a sentence
like
in his life.
For me, it's always like a performance flow. I can't do it any other way. I've tried to slow down and be calm, but nothing happens. I just get restless and shake a lot. And then I go back to item 1, shag. What else? Why waste the energy?
All right. The next one comes in from Rohan Jacob. He says...
I know Rohan Jacob.
Okay, wow. Rohan Jacob, he asks, hey guys, Rohan here from Toronto, Canada. I'm a big fan of Cyrus and the podcast. By far the best I've listened to. Thank you so much. My question is for you all.
Can't be the one I know. He'd never say that.
My question is for you all. What are your thoughts on the American Pie series? I feel it's underrated and not talked about enough. I could watch it over and over again without getting tired of it. What do you guys think?
20-year-old series,
right?
It's
quite old. But
the masturbation in the pie.
I remember it. It was it's like our generation now, Amit.
Yeah.
Sort of.
They came out in like the late 90s.
But at that time, it didn't do enough for me because I was either I would go to hardcore porn, video jazz, and watch, really dirty stuff or something funny or whatever. It was somewhere in the middle. So I don't remember relating too much to it. I think we watched it.
Okay.
For me, I think the American Pie series, I get it. It's not like I was offended by it or anything.
Oh God, no.
I get it. I get the joke. I get all of that. But I'm not a big fan of like that frat boy humor, where it's
for a full 2 hours.
I don't know. Yeah, like a good gag is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Bakra was only frat boy. I mean, it's just bullying someone, right? Like if you had to see what Bakra was. Yeah. But if you look at American Pie, but the thing about American Pie to me is that it was that like testosterone frat collective of like cool boys writing. It was that kind of humor.
So to identify with it for a long period of time is tough. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never loved them that much either, right? I mean, like they were fine. I would say my this was the opposite of what he said, right? They were fine. I watched them, I enjoyed them, but I never felt the need that, oh, you know what, this is something I'd like to watch again, or I think like, it was funny enough that let me watch. I've never felt that.
Amit, you remember Porky's? Or
yes,
is that
I do.
like 90s somewhere?
That was 80s.
80s, was it? Oh, God.
Yeah,
sorry.
that was like early 80s.
we've lost our listenership forever. God, 80s? Porky's, yeah, God.
Oh, yeah. Porky's was
so
early,
I preferred,
early
maybe that had already spoiled it for us. It's from the same genre,
It's the same thing. It's the same kind of show.
Yeah, so then it's like a revival of that. Now we've been there, done that, not working anymore. But I think
in the same vein, if you see in British sitcoms, like I'm a big fan of Fawlty Towers and Monty Python and things like that. But when it came to the Carry On series, I thought it was overtly sexualized to be able to land the joke.
But it was funny at that time.
So again, for 3 hours. But I preferred like Wild 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 World. I preferred that kind of like.
But anyway, we can't.
In that section.
We can't compare him to the holy grail of Monty Python and
Not at all.
Blackadder.
I think
but if you look at between Allo Allo,
I like Allo Allo. What I like best about Allo Allo is if you're speaking in German or French, Neville, and that's genius, you just have to use the accent. And then I can't understand you because you're German. Was is he saying? I don't speak French. It's ridiculous,
Great gag.
No, but you know what, Saris, I also think that American Pie, the time that it came out, right? So I just checked the date. It came out in 1999. I was 25 years old at that point in time.
Yeah.
I think might have been too old for a teen comedy.
27. Huh.
Yeah.
I was 19 and I still did.
No, but I think even at 19 you're too old. I thought I was 18 and I still thought I was too old.
I think it's 15, 16,
around
14, that time. 15, you want to watch this show, a little bit of titty show happens and all that.
Yeah.
It's that period. After that, you've seen hardcore stuff and you've gone beyond it. So unless it's superbly funny and you identify with them, like you said, you didn't. They're frat boys. We aren't into all that. We don't get that. Amit was a bit like that, but he rejected it.
Yes, I did. Reason. I tried for it.
Do you guys have other movies that you would like to recommend in this genre, like frat boys kind of genre? Like if not American Pie series. Like I think there's a movie called Old School.
Meatballs not bad. Old School's not bad. My favorite was always Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz is great.
And not exactly in the genre, but the Nude Bomb. Because if you want to just see nudies and it's funnier. I like the Nude Bomb. Then all the Leslie Nielsen films, which are really funny, there's always
those were great, the Naked Guns.
And the premises are so ridiculous and bizarre, I love them.
Amazing. It's the best. Yeah.
I remember him asking his ex-wife, how are the kids? And she says, we didn't have any kids. Just stupid conversations.
There's a running gag in the Naked Gun series where he offers someone a cigarette and he goes, hello, cigarette? And they're like, I know.
or in Airplane, you remember? I have a drinking problem.
Drinking problem. Yeah.
Have you seen Puri Tang?
Puri Tang, yes, I have.
I have seen that, I don't remember it, but I do remember seeing it.
Like, you won't understand what's happening in the first 10 minutes of Puri Tang, and then you'll be like, okay, that's the movie. Okay, I get it.
I must say, Silvery has woken up with this genre. He was asleep the first half and now on Berserk. Oh, likes his dirty films.
He was asleep for the first 90 minutes of it.
Fair enough, yeah. But I wonder whether he's having a life similar to Porky's.
Okay, sure, maybe.
Close zoom on Silvery's face for reaction and pull out. Oh, okay. Sorry. Too much double meaning. Yeah, exactly. Back to office. All right. We'll see you soon. It's Cock and Bull. Okay. Catch us on any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you. We need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Satyajit.
Hi, I'm Racheta.
We are from the Open Library Project and we host a podcast called Paperback.
Paperback is a podcast where we engage with stalwarts and experts from various industries, suggesting non-fiction titles that contributed to their journey in a big way.
We've had guests like Anjali Raina, Dr. Marcus Rani, Dr. Swati Lodha, Ambi Parmeswaran, Apurva Damani, and many more on our show Paperback. Find new episodes every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
माणसं गोलगप्प्यासारखी असतात. हाय हॅलो करताना वेगळी आणि बोलताना वेगळी आणि गप्पा मारताना वेगळी, मित्र झाली की वेगळी आणि शत्रू म्हणून वेगळी, थोडक्यात दिसणारी वेगळी आणि असणारी वेगळी. कधी आंबट, कधी गोड, कधी तिखट, तर कधी चमचमीत आणि कधी कधी हॉट अँड स्पायसी सुद्धा. आणि म्हणूनच गप्पा गोल गप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर फक्त तुमच्यासाठी दर बुधवारी IVM पॉडकास्टच्या ऍपवर, वेबसाईटवर किंवा युट्यूब चॅनलवर सुद्धा ऐकू शकता. तुम्ही आमचा पॉडकास्ट वेगवेगळ्या पॉडकास्ट प्लॅटफॉर्मवरती ऐकू शकता. फक्त सर्च करा गोल गप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर आणि आमचा पॉडकास्ट ऐकत राहा.